Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.
Right, so part 2 of this interview with Nick Cannon, Kanye on Cannon's Class. Really good interview. You guys should go watch the whole thing. I'll link it up in the description below. I found it personally very edifying. And in this part, he talks about Kamala Harris. Kanye on Kamala Harris. Okay, this is very interesting to me. I really didn't know how to process this, right? I really didn't know what to make of it. I'll give you guys some of my thoughts about it, but I think it's very, very fascinating to hear his thoughts on Kamala Harris. He didn't go super deep. This isn't a super exhaustive thing, but I think this is very, very interesting. Let's pull this up. And again, go watch the full interview of this, man. Shout out to Nick Cannon. He did a fantastic job. Let's check this out.
It's so many things that are for the culture. Do it for the I do this for Christ, boy. This ain't for the culture. It's for Jesus Christ.
So what about people saying you're a little too...
Yo, I love how unapologetic this man is about his faith in Jesus. Like, I think it's super cool. It's personally encouraging to me. When I saw Sunday Service Live, it's encouraging to me. Let's keep watching.
Too religious, especially to be running for office.
That's what we need. And that's who I am. And I always been who I am, and it's worked out thus far.
Right.
And I shall be president at some point in our lifetime.
So maybe not 2020. So what about...
You gotta love this man's confidence. Like, you gotta love this man's confidence. And you gotta acknowledge that this dude, whether you like him personally or not, has broken down a lot of barriers, okay? A few to recap. He was the first mainstream producer rapper. Guy that started as a producer, transitioned as a rapper. He's one of the first mainstream guys to really transition into sneakers and having his own sneaker stuff. One of the first brothers to really get into high fashion. Remember that moment with Sway, right? How Sway? And he was talking about wanting to break into high fashion and how it was different, but make high fashion affordable for everybody. And he did it. Like, he went from Nike to not getting a royalty to Adidas, built Yeezy to be $1 billion company, then got into Gap and is like, yo, we're going to crush H&M, we're going to crush Forever 21, and we're going to be a high fashion brand that everybody can afford, under $100. And then the Gap stock shot through the roof. Adidas stock shot through the roof. His musical stuff, right? This is one of the people that we grew up in hearing this, like, yo, stay in your lane. And then guys like Kanye, guys like Donald Glover, guys like Joe Rogan came along and shattered the whole stay in your lane thing, because these are now multi-dimensional, multi-disciplined creatives, right? This is a really interesting time to be alive. And he keeps saying, listen, like, I've proven myself right repeatedly. He talks about God proving himself right through him. And he says, I shall be president in our lifetime. Woo! Let's keep watching.
Yay, 2024, because Kamala in there with I know you don't like Biden, but to see a woman operating, a black woman from Oakland, went to a HBCU to be in the White House, you gotta want to support that. You gotta want to.
So watch his response to Kamala. This is very interesting. Check this out.
See, that's a good thing for the culture. And you can follow up 2024.
Is it a good thing for Christ? What's up?
Woo! Yo, this man Kanye, is it a good thing? Okay, first of all, very slick, right? To answer a question with a question is very sick. Now, I've shared my thoughts on Kamala Harris, and I specifically said that it's again the Democrats choosing style over substance, choosing charisma and charm over character. She does not have a good track record, okay? She does not have a good track record. She does not have a good track record as a DA, and she's incarcerated a lot of black men, and this is somebody that the Republicans, specifically Trump, was excited about. I'm not a fan of Kamala Harris. I'm in California. She couldn't even win California during the primary. She was polling so low that she dropped out before Andrew Yang, before Tulsi Gabbard. Okay, this was not a good choice for them, but again, they're choosing symbolism over substance, right? And I think it's a bad choice. Now, the way Kanye answers it is it a good, is it what do you say? Is it a good thing for Christ? Let me pull this back. Let's pull this back. Let's pull this back.
The culture. And you can follow up 2024.
Is it a good thing for Christ?
Is it a good thing for Christ? Now, what is he saying? Is it a good thing for Christ? is it a good thing to reflect Christian values, Christian worldview, or at least protect Christian liberty or religious liberty? That's what he's asking. It's a very interesting question. Let's keep watching.
What's her
I think
position?
I don't know. That's a great
Because-
question.
What's her position?
Yeah.
When you're a Democrat, you're not allowed to talk about Christ.
Woo! When you're a Democrat, you're not allowed to talk about that. Now this is true, right? Because you start finding out a lot of these guys don't talk about their faith. Apparently, Hillary Clinton was a Christian. Apparently, Biden's a Christian, but they don't really talk about their faith. This is interesting.
Republicans are allowed to talk about Christ. Democrats not allowed to talk about
Martin
Christ.
Luther
If you-
King was a Republican, right?
Blacks used to be the Republicans back then.
Absolutely.
Blacks used to be, and if you're a Christian, most of your values gonna align with Republicans more.
Now you're such an out of the box type of
Ouch.
person, and you got your own party now, the birthday party.
Ouch. Okay. Wow. All right. He said a whole lot there. He said a whole lot. Now, I am not a Republican, just so you guys know. I'm a registered independent. I'm politically agnostic. Put some respect on my name. But he says if you're a Christian, your values are going to line up more with Republicans. I'm going to do a separate video at some point about a specific policy, a Democratic policy, an Obama-era policy that actually impacted my life in a very tangible way. But here's the framing of this, right? He's talking about Kamala Harris. He's talking about can she be open about her faith? What does that mean? So we have these two different worlds, right? We have these two different intersections, and both worlds are going to pander you fear and drama. Just so you know, in the coming weeks, in the coming months, specifically in the month of October, don't you watch the news? Everybody's going to be trying to scare you into voting one way or another, especially if you're kind of down the middle. You got one side that's going to scare you into this. You got one side that's going to say, if you elect this man, the Democratic Party, the Biden, you're going to lose freedom. What freedom are we talking about? Right? You're going to lose religious freedom because there are going to be more and more laws passed that are going to not be friendly to Christians. Which is true, right? To an extent. You're going to lose your Second Amendment rights. Kamala Harris has came down very hard on Second Amendment rights, right? We're one of the few industrialized countries with the right to bear arms. Now, whether or not you personally like guns or not, it just is what it is. Our Second Amendment right is that, right? So religious freedom, potentially, or like religious freedom in a way that they don't, if you're offensive with your religion, that's going to be potentially, and it has already been in California. There's some laws about certain things you can and can't say that could be defined as hate speech, right? So religious freedom, Second Amendment rights, taxes, right? Taxes, more of your stuff is going to get taken the more money you make by the federal government. This is true, right? If you look at the capital gains tax, I think the capital gains tax right now is 15%. They want to bring it up, I think, to 28%, which is a lot. That means it's going to double, or maybe even more than that, right? So your capital gains is like if you make money in the market, if you sell your house and you make a capital gains tax, that's going to be going up under Biden and Kamala. And Kamala Harris's tax plan is wild crazy, right? So you're losing certain freedoms, right? You're losing certain freedoms, and people don't want to lose freedoms. People don't want things taken from them, right? So that's one side, right? That's one side. You're going to lose certain freedoms. Now the other side, the fear mongering on the other side is going to be, if you don't vote for Biden and Trump, yeah, maybe there'll be more freedoms, maybe there'll be more taxes, but you're going to lose not freedom, but freedom from the fear of racism, freedom from the fear of the system and economic wealth, right? The wealth gap. They're gonna scare you into saying Trump is a monster, all Trump supporters are racist, all Republicans are racist, and Democrats are for the people, and they're not racist, and that's why you should vote Democrat. These are kind of you guys see how those two things, right? These two things are in conflict with each other. And so on this side, you're going to have views like pro-choice. You're going to have things that are like, yo, it's a woman's right to choose, right? Which go watch the first part of this interview and we kind of go over that, right? So you're gonna boom. It's a woman's right to choose. It's about the people, people's right to choose. And the Republicans are going to be saying no. But this is going to create lawlessness, right? When you lose freedom, it's going to be lawlessness. These are the two sides, right? These two sides, and it's going to get worse. Just so you know, there's going to be more viral stories. There's going to be more protests. There's going to be more unrest. There's going to be more and more stuff. Now, by the way, for me, listen. I've thrived and succeeded under Democrats. I've thrived and succeeded under Republicans. It doesn't matter. Like, to me, I'm going to be fine. Now, I may have to adjust in the way I do my taxes or whatever, but all in all, this stuff doesn't matter to me, right? But here, those are the two opposing sides, right? These are the two opposing sides. Which economic policies work better, right? Which economic policies work better? Do Republican policies where you give tax breaks to the rich, the wealthy, does that money really trickle down to the poor people, right? And then they would push back and say, well, you know, a lot of people at the poverty or below the poverty don't even pay an income tax. They're not even, they use more of the resources and the services from the government, but they don't even pay an income tax, right? So that's interesting. Then who's really paying their fair share? And what's a fair share of taxes? In my opinion, if somebody is taking more than half of what you make, they're a silent partner in your business. Which is why I don't like a lot of the Democrat tax policies, because we're going to keep pushing this up to the point where the tax rate is going to be back to what it was back in the day, where it was like, I think at one point America had like an 80 or 90% tax rate. Think about that for a second. And I know people are going to be like, well, how much money do you really need? Don't be greedy. It's not about being greedy. It's about somebody earns something and you're going to take it from them. That's not... that doesn't sound very ethical. And guess what happens when you don't have ethical laws? When there's not an ethical law, when you are driving on a freeway and you're like, hey, there's no other cars around, it's late at night. I know the speed limit says 75 or 65, but there's nobody around. I'm just going to speed. I'm going to go 85. I'm going to go 95. When people believe there are unethical laws or laws that don't make sense or unfair laws, they break them. We all do this, by the way. We all do this, right? So the mandate is, this is the speed limit. I'm going to break the speed limit. Okay, you got to wear masks when you're outside because of COVID. Not when you're around people, just out, anywhere. You got to wear a mask. Why am I going to wear a mask? That's stupid. I'm not going to wear a mask if I'm going on a jog. It's me. I'm not wearing a mask when I'm going to jog. I wear a mask when I go into a grocery store. I wear a mask when I go into the mall. I wear a mask when I'm around people. I wear a mask. I'm not going to wear a mask to step outside of my house. It's freaking goofy. It's a stupid law. When you have stupid laws, when you have bad laws, immoral laws, dare I say immoral laws, people are going to break those laws. You're going to create more and more dysfunction. That's not good. So when you start saying, hey, Green New Deal, which is AOC and Bernie and a lot of these people pushing this Green New Deal, they want to have a 70% tax rate for people that make north of $10 million. Now, the majority of us will probably never get there. I'd like to someday, if I'm being honest with you guys. But that means that anything you make above above $10 million, you're going to get taxed at 70%. 70, that's a lot. That's a lot. So it's not about, well, rich people don't need it. No, what's going to happen is rich people are just going to get more creative. They're going to get more creative with their accounting. They're going to get more creative with their taxes. They're going to get more creative with this stuff. You see what I'm saying? You see gun sales spike up. Why? Because people are nervous that Biden and Kamala Harris are going to get elected president. So what are they doing? They're buying up a bunch of guns. I've bought 2 firearms since COVID started, right? You're going to see more of this stuff happen because when you feel like there are unjust laws, it sets people up to break them. And especially if you're wealthy and you have the resources, you're going to finesse and do your thing with it. I don't know if that's good. I don't know what side is right or wrong. I don't think either side is right or wrong, to be completely honest with you. I think Democrats are wild when they just like put the flag and just like, you talk to some of these people that are pro-choice and they're just like, no, a woman's right to choose. A woman's right to choose. A woman's right to choose. And you're like, okay, when does that thing, that fetus become a person? And nobody can give me an answer on that. Is it 8 weeks? Is it 10 weeks? Is it 24 weeks? Right? And okay, if it's 12 weeks for some people, have you looked at what a 12-week fetus looks like? Have you? It looks a lot like a person, right? Looks a lot like a person. So you're looking at you're just blindly stamping your flag in something, and you're saying, well, this is it. And then you got Republicans that are like, no, abortion should be wrong. However, some of their economic policies don't always enable poor people to get more access to contraceptives, to get more access to to condoms, to birth control, to education, to upward mobility, right? All of these different things. Those policies don't actually, their policies don't always enable people to move up the economic ladder. Boom, you got people on the other side of the spectrum who, the Democrats, their policies for pro-choice, their pro-choice policies actually lowered the abortion rate. This is a fact. You could look it up. The historical low abortion rate was under Obama, actually, who was a pro-choice president. You see what I'm saying? So you see how some of this stuff is nuanced, that it's not black or white. It's not one side or the other. So I'm not mad at Christians who are Democrats. I'm not. And I'm not mad at Christians who are Republicans and think they're all greedy or racist or whatever. It's just, who do you want to endorse with your vote? I can't endorse either one of these candidates. Right? I can't. I just can't. I think Kamala's a bad choice, and I think she probably will become president. I think it would be very shocking if Biden makes it through a full term. And at the other end, I don't want to rock with the divisiveness and the nastiness and the combativeness of a president who is more focused on speaking to his base, not just to get elected, but to continue staying elected, and has very little desire to unify the country. He's divisive. It is what it is. He's divisive. He talks reckless. He has a very much so us versus them mentality. And even if some of his economic policies I think are good, or other policies he's done, and I've talked about that, I just can't get behind endorsing someone like that with my vote. I'm in California. My vote doesn't matter because California is always going to vote blue electoral college. So those are my thoughts. Interesting that Kanye says this stuff about Kamala Harris. What do you guys think about this stuff with Kamala Harris? I don't know. I think it could go either way. I'm not voting for her. I'm not voting for Biden. But those are the tensions. And I just did a brief breakdown of Republicans versus Democrats. I know that was probably like, what? Gosh, this fool gave us a political science lesson. But those are some of the nuances, some of the differences. If you guys want to hear me talk more about that, let me know.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.